Hey guys, it's Ryan. I'm back today, finally, with a new deck profile. Sorry I've been gone for so long, but I just really haven't had much to report on. Haven't been really recording matches, but I'm going to start getting back into all that, and more deck profiles and more of my team's deck profiles. So I figure I'll start today with a new clan that just recently became playable because of the way they released the sets. So we're going to do a Genesis build today. So I'm just going to jump right into it and then explain things as I go through. So the first card is the starting Vanguard, Battle Maiden Iwanagahime, and she's really good. I like her the best for starting Vanguards because she doesn't go away. She's Counterblast 2 when attack hits a Vanguard that she's boosting. You can Counterblast 2 to Soul Charge 3. There's a lot. That's basically the whole point of the deck is Soul Charging, and then in turn Soul Blasting. So she's really good because she just always stays there. You know, it's not, you don't have to Soul Charge her to get an effect to go off once. You know, so it's the whole game. Then running 8 crit. I opted for crits over stands because I just think in this deck, the sooner you can get those damage in, the better. Draw, I just chose the monkey because it's cute. 4 heal, obviously. For grade 1s, just start with the obvious. 4 perfect guard, just staple, really. Then I have 4 Witch of Cats Cumin. She's basically like a dark regular succubus. When she gets played to the field on Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle, if you have a Genesis Vanguard, you Soul Charge 1. I can't see a reason to not run her in 4. She's just, I mean, it's the whole point of the deck. You want that soul, and if you're not getting it from attacks hitting, if your opponent's really guarding heavy, then she just is a way to get it no matter what. One of my favorite cards in the deck is Witch of Frogs Melissa, and I'm running her in 4. And basically her effect is when she's Soul Blasted, you Counterblast 1 to call her to Rearguard. So, like, it's just sick because there's so many combos with this card in the deck, and even if you're not comboing with it, just using her effect as is amazing. Then I'm running 2 Battle Maiden Hime. She has the same effect as our starting Vanguard. Then I'm running 4 of Witch of Ravens Chamomile. She's the same effect as Witch of Frogs Melissa, except she's grade 2. So, again, really sick for all the same reasons, and makes a great column for if you have a Melissa behind her. Because that'll be 16, which is a good number. I'm running 4 Battle Maiden Sakuhime. She is really good. When her attack hits Vanguard, you Counterblast 1 and Soul Charge 3. So the other ones are 2, she's only 1. Her with a Battle Maiden Hime behind her is amazing, because if it hits and you have 3 to Counterblast, that's Soul Charging 6. Which is really, really nice. She's great pressure. People love to guard against her, which just makes it easier for Vanguard attacks to go through or other attacks to go through. Then I'm running 2 Witch of Owl's Paprika. When she attacks, if you have Genesis Vanguard or Rearguard with Limit Break 4, it gets plus 3k. So it's just nice. She's just basically an 11 towards late game, which is just always good. Doesn't need a booster, should be swinging for 11 every turn, which is, I just really like that. And then I teched in 1 Battle Maiden Izunahime, just a 10k vanilla. Now moving on to grade 3. This is my main Vanguard, Eternal Goddess Iwanagahime. Her limit break effect is Soul Blast 6, retire all of your opponent's rearguards in the front row. That is ridiculous. Okay, so let's just play it out. So getting 6 to Soul Blast is really easy in this deck. You'll probably, I've done it twice in a game before, like, easily. So if you get a lot of, the Soul Charging is just insane in this deck, so you don't have to worry about, 6 isn't really that steep of a cost, especially with Chamomile, and especially with Melissa, Soul Blasting 6. If these guys are in your Soul, it's really like a Soul Blast 4. You Counterblast 2, and then you have a full column. So it's just a really sick card. And if you're not at Limit Break, you could always Soul Blast 3 and give her plus 5k, so she'll be 16 on her own, which is nice. So she's just a wicked card. It makes people super nervous because they don't want to set up, if they know you're playing her, first of all, they don't want to set up a really strong field because they know it's going to get wiped. The front row at least will get wiped. I do say don't use her effect early. I kind of like to try to save it for a late game when they're kind of running out of options and they're stuck with what they have, and then you just nuke it, and then it leaves them with kind of nothing to do after that. This is Oracle Queen Himiko. I'm only running 3 of her for the break ride because I have a grade 3 tech that I like to use, which I'm going to explain after this. But her effect is at limit break, basically when a Genesis rides her, the Genesis that rides her gets plus 10k as normal. 2 of your rear guards get plus 5k, and then your Genesis Vanguard also gets Soul Blast 3. When the unit attacks, you can Soul Blast 3 to draw a card, which is nice. Again, increasing your advantage, and then in turn, if you're riding Iwanagahime over her, decreasing the opponent's advantage. It's all about making that gap as big as possible between you and your opponent, which is really what this deck's about. It's not really about big numbers. Although, her limit break is great. Giving 2 rear guards plus 5k is really good. But it's not this deck. If you're looking for a deck for power, this is not the deck. This deck is all about advantage. So if it might, your numbers aren't going to be huge every game. They probably won't be. But it's just a matter of being persistent and just continuing to pay attention to your advantage and your opponent, and just making sure that the gap between the two of you is as big as possible. That's really what I think Genesis is about and what it does best. Also, her effect, her auto effect is you soul charge 1 every time she attacks, and she gets plus 1k. So that's, if for any reason they've been blocking, and you haven't been able to really soul charge as much, if you ride her, every attack you're getting a soul charge. So you can help build up that soul if you're low on soul before you ride Iwanagahime or the next grade 3 I'm going to show you. So I teched in 1 Goddess of Luck Fortuna. Now, some people might not like this card. I do, and here's why. There is a really cool combo with this deck with Fortuna and Chamomile and Melissa. Fortuna's effect, for those of you who don't know, is at limit break you can Soul Blast 3, and when this unit drive checks, when it reveals a grade 1 or greater, you can do your Soul Blast and put that card into the graveyard and drive check again. So let's say you called her, got your 1 soul charge. So this field's assuming you got no soul charges whatsoever the entire game so far, besides playing 1 Cumin at all, okay? Which is really, really unlikely, and if that is the case, that means your opponent probably has no guards left in their hand, or they're really low, or they have no field. Either way, it's good for you. So here's what we do. We attack with the column that's not really helping us. This column could potentially be giving us soul charge. We don't want to lose it. It's sitting for 16. That's a good number, so we're going to hold on to that column. So we attack with this column first. 17, whatever the opponent's going to do, they're going to do. Then you swing with Vanguard. Okay, so we're swinging for 16. Now, this is when the limp break kicks in. Let's say our drive check is... it doesn't really matter what it is, because this isn't really the point of it, but let's say our first check is a Cumin, okay? We don't want it. We're gonna use her effect, limit break. Discard it. Soul Blast 3. Okay. 2 of them can be called to the field. We're going to counterblast 2. They don't need to be called to open rearguard slots. So, hello, we just got another column now that hasn't even attacked yet. So that's the combination I really like with Fortuna, because it happens during the battle phase. The other ones happen before the battle phase, so you're not going to be triggering it like this. You're not going to get that 4th column of attacks in. So yeah, then you'd attack with this, and then you still have this attack to go. So again, that is the combination I really like with Fortuna. She has the same effect as Iwanagahime, where she can Soul Blast 3 to get plus 5k. So she can always be a 16k attacker if you want. But the battle phase skill is what I really like. I feel like you don't really count on Fortuna for the extra drive check. I mean, it's good, but I don't know if I'm just really unlucky. It doesn't usually make too much of a difference, but again, it does increase your odds of getting a trigger, which is nice, but I like it more for the guaranteed Chamomile Melissa column, which is really, really beneficial. So that's really the deck. Again, like I said, it's not a numbers deck. It's not a lot of power, but it doesn't have to really be. It hits enough numbers that it's, formidable, but it's not about crazy power. It's really about crazy advantage. Your hand should be huge, your opponent's should be small, because when you wipe their field, even though it's only 2 cards, it's 2 cards they're going to have to put from their hand now to make up for. So it's 2 cards less that they've got, and then you're drive checking, so that's 2 plus for you. So it works really well. I mean, there's been times, lots of times late game, where I'm at 9 cards in my hand and my opponent's at like 3, and that's like common. And it's so, just psychologically messes with the opponent, because when you see your opponent's at 9 and you're like trying to scrounge to make anything work, to regain field presence or just to regain, hand advantage, it's really, really tough. Like I said, they can try to guard early, and that makes it a little tricky late game for you because you don't have as much soul to blast. But if they guarded early, they don't have guard for later, most likely. And if they do, then they probably don't have a big field. So either way, you're probably going to make up for it. So right now, I'm in love with this deck. I'm in love with the play style of this deck. It really suits me as a player. It's not super, super aggressive, which I like. It's more about just maintaining advantage and letting you play comfortably, while your opponent is really struggling to make up for lost ground. So I would recommend trying it out. Try out some different builds. I haven't had any experience yet with the ride chain, so I can't really tell you how that runs. But I think a friend of mine is going to make it, so if she does, I will have her do a deck profile and maybe give some commentary on how it works. I'm just not too crazy about chain rides, so I'd rather go for this deck and this build. So let me know what you guys think, and what you guys think of the Genesis Clan so far, and what you think its strengths and weaknesses are, and leave them in the comments below. And I'll be back soon, hopefully, with some matches. I plan on recording some this week, so I'll hopefully be uploading those this weekend. Alright guys, see you later. Bye.